Well, hello. It's been a minute, huh? Yeah, I'm only uploading maybe like once a month or so anymore because I'm taking time to learn. And yes, I'm still learning more and more about Santa Muerte. And I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about 10 years now. Talk about what it's been like working with Santa Muerte for 10 years now. And a lot of things that I mentioned in previous videos, a lot of things that I'd like to go back and correct. But nothing, that would harm a person, nothing that's detrimental, more so just opinions, more so just now having a little bit more experience under my belt. You know what I'm saying? So now that time has been cruel, um, I have learned that for one, if you have Santa Muerte in your house and you work any other type of involvement with the dead, she can have a tendency to create a barrier or more of a blockade to prevent you from potentially getting into pitfalls or getting hurt or getting misunderstandings when you work with the other dead, and that includes other death deities. Now, I wouldn't be saying that if it hadn't personally happened to me and people that I converse with. She has a tendency to be kind of like a road closer when it comes to doing work with other spirits that could potentially have a very powerful energy. And if those spirits have a very, very strong energy, or if they're spirits that are maybe kind of like unknown and you brought her into your practice first, she kind of like acts like, you know what? I'm going to do my best to protect you from potential harm or from maybe confusion, or if you might stumble and fall too much with this spirit or this entity. She has a tendency to be like this at the door. Like, hold on, what are your credentials? She has done that on a multitude of occasions, and you would think that a person that's attracting this energy towards them or attracting this practice towards them wouldn't need to necessarily go through her to be able to move forward. But time and time again, uh, not just me but other people that I converse with, they're like, I don't know why it's not working for me. I don't know why nothing's happening. And then we come to the conclusion that it's Santa Muerte stepping in for us to protect us because that's what she does. And it's her creating like a blockade or you shall not pass unless you meet certain qualifications. So we have to ask her, Santísima Muerte, can you please let them through the gate? And in turn, she's kind of like, well, you know what? I mean, I stopped them at the gate for a reason. So you wanna go that route? Be prepared. Be prepared. So that's kind of an understanding that you have to come to with her, is that she is majorly a guardian. She's majorly concerned about if she has a follower or a person that's devoted or a person that has dedicated their life to her, she comes first. And that's just how it works. That's my dog dreaming. Hold on. So I get maybe my dog was agreeing with me. But anyways, so she protects the whole house. It's not just her job to protect the individual, but also their whole household. She tends to become that type of uh, caring guardian for the whole house. And when people say that, we don't know how she is around children, all you have to do is look at previous videos. All you have to do is ask around, and you can tell how she is with children. Children have a special place with Santa Muerte, a special place in her heart. And we honestly do truly believe, a lot of us, that she does have that sentiment like we do. Okay. Um, there's no backstory necessarily that can feasibly prove that Santísima Muerte was ever like a real living human. Mostly what you're going to find is that she has origins of being a death deity or a death spirit in ancient Mexica, or what you know as Aztec, ancient Mexica folklore, lore, mythology. We believe that she, a lot of times, has connection there. Those could be 95%, those could be her roots. Now, of course, through these past 10 years, I've discovered other explanations, other stories, but that seems to be the big one. And 10 years later, my personal opinion is still pretty up in the air and mixed about her origin. But I do respect, and I do, I will never argue when a person says, oh yeah, I truly do believe that she is the Mexica goddess of death. I'm not going to argue that, because who am I to say anything? Sometimes it really honestly does feel like that. Because if you go into the Mexica lore, she was the guardian of the bones. And she certainly does feel guardian to me. And to many, many, many millions, I guess, according to the statistics, of other people. So who am I to say otherwise? And another thing that I would have corrected in previous videos was I was very angry at the institution of Catholicism and of the church and that sort of thing, and I had my opinions about it, but fortunately I went back and deleted those videos because I'm nobody to say anything about that. It was just an opinion, but it wasn't practical to feel that way, because I would be completely dismantling how Santa Muerte is seen today and how people practice with her today, the majority. Who am I to say anything, once again? So I've come to accept that people work with her from like an animistic or pagan way, and I've come to accept that people work with her from a religious and a Catholic way, and both are wonderful, both are great. But I do notice that both of them they kind of work a little bit differently from each other. It depends on the person that's doing that practice. It depends on kind of like what their mentality is, So I've also learned that right when you think that you're absolutely 100% certain about what she does in your life and what she's capable of and stuff like that, she flips a switch on you and she tells you, actually, you are wrong. You just needed to get to know me a little bit better. So at this point in the game, I was told to believe that, she has a past, she has a history, which she does, in which in the beginning, I was advised by a couple of my mentors, I was advised from their experience, because they lived it, that, she had a very vulgar beginning. She was really only sought after in life and death situations, given her energy, given her symbology. And I was advised by one of my mentors that one of the very first things that people would ask Santísima Muerte for was a holy death, which means that they don't want to die unnaturally. They don't want to die violently. They don't want to die in the street somewhere. They want their death to be natural, when they're older, of their own accord, a holy death, if you will. And then what I learned after that was that, like with everything else, they started to ask her for love. And this was before her statues came out. This was before the screen printing on the candles. What my teacher told me, and I'm sure it should be okay to share this because he's shared it publicly, was that the very first images of Santa Muerte were just skulls and skeletons. Now, one thing that I can tell you that I have learned about these whole 3 traditional robe things was that was not a thing. I mean, everything starts from somewhere, but that was not a thing. The thing was either a white or bone colored statue. And I got that information from somebody who's owned a yerberia since the 80s. She said the very first statue we ever received of La Santísima Muerte was la huesuda, the bone. So it wasn't even white, it was bone. And if you don't want to take my testimony, go ahead and go ask yerberia and botanica owners that have owned their botanicas and yerberias since the 90s and the 80s. Go ahead and feel free to ask them. It was bone. So this whole red, black, and white thing, like with everything else, it evolved later. And the truth, it's not even a staple. It really isn't. It's not even a staple. That was made up recently, very recently. It's like with anything else, it evolved. And it's continuing to evolve. And it's now, I believe, it has the ability to turn into a religion. At this point, it does. If people want it to be. I had speculated this for a little bit, but I think fully now people are trying to turn it into a religion. And I think maybe in the next 20, 30 years, it very well could be. And if it is, I'd be happy to be a part of it. But yes, she has a tendency to show up. This is another thing I learned. People are very adamant that they can feel her all the time. Now, what I have learned over the past 10 years is, why do you feel her all the time? She's the energy of death. And even though it's normal to feel your mortality, right? That's the cats fighting. It's normal to feel your mortality, your finite position on this earth all the time, which another mentor of mine advised me that she very much encompasses that energy. Normally she pops up for people in an extreme manner like that when something's about to go down. So if you're feeling her constantly all the time, I got a question. What's going on in your life that you feel the presence of death all the time? The whole point is that you actually, and this is something that might change in the future, but you don't want to feel the presence of death all the time. I know she's loving. I know she can give the warm embrace and the hugs and the love and the tenderness that a lot of people need. That's true. But when she shows up to you in your dreams, or she shows up to you like in person as like a physical manifestation, like an actual, like a ghost, when she shows up to you, you gotta question, why? What's going on? What are you doing? Who are you involving yourself with? Or what are you involving yourself with that would require her to show up physically for you and give you a warning about something? Because that's why she's showing up a lot of times, is to tell you, hey, you better be careful, because when my energy is around, something's about to go down. And keep in mind, she does come to us to warn us. Like for me, this is going to sound very like new agey and stuff, but I get 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13. So apparently in Mexico, 13 is a sign of good luck. But for me, it's the, hey, you know what's about to hit the fan. And when the 13s consistently pop up, I look at where they're referenced. If it's on my oven, okay, be careful not to leave the oven on because you could burn the house down. If the 13 is popping up on like my fitness watch, watch your health. If the 13 is popping up, like say on my phone regarding a certain video, pay attention to what the video is saying. It's not going to hurt you if you just pay attention. If the 13s are popping up in your car, drive safe. Get your eyes off your phone. Put your seatbelt on. Pay attention to traffic. mind your traffic education and be careful. Okay? If say they're popping up in your dreams, sometimes I get 13s in my dreams. Pay attention to what that dream is saying. I know sometimes it's hard because you let the dream go, but try your best to write it down and pay attention. I'm not saying that the 13s happen to everybody, but they happen to me, and that's how I learned to be mindful of that sign. Okay? So, looking back also in the videos, another thing I was very adamant on back in those videos was you should not have relations in front of her. My opinion has changed on that. Sure, be respectful. Don't be doing necessarily like vulgar things right in front of her statues. Or it's not even in front of her statues. It's where your and her energy meet, that convening point. Because a lot of times when people honor and venerate Santa Muerte, they oftentimes don't think of her sexually. They think of her as holy, a protector, or like a mother, or something like that. And if you wouldn't do that in front of your mom, then I probably wouldn't do that in the area in which me and her convene, because it's like it can contaminate that area. Think of it alchemically. If sexual relations are fire and your altar space is holy, you know, it's very like, I don't know, PG rated. You're bringing the X rated to the PG rated, and you could contaminate it, you know. Think of it like a scientist. But do I think that she sees us all the time? Yeah, of course. Do I think that she sees us even when we're doing that? Yeah, of course. But you're not doing it in front of her to directly offend her. Now, while we're on the subject, are there people that practice adult magic, sexual magic with her? Yeah. How can we say that there's not? You petition her for love. You petition her for bringing people back and for, you know, spiciness, if you will. Are there people out there giving her that energy? I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say that you hear about it very common, but I'm not going to say that there aren't people out there doing it. It's not something that you really see mentioned in the books. But do people do it? Yeah. People do everything. Another thing on another subject of like a taboo, and I've done this involving blood. Do people give her their blood? Yeah, they've done it since time was time. Is it necessary? I've learned that no, I don't think it's necessary. And there's certain books that are going around saying that it's like part of the process. No, it's not. Look at me. No, it's not. Okay? Been there, done that. Known people that have been there, done that. Didn't make a lick of difference. Honestly, she looks at them like, why'd you give me this? Why? I don't want this. That's gross. Ew. Hey, and for some people, maybe she didn't say that. Each person, Santa Muerte, is different. And that's a whole other video. And I can get into it if you want, based off of my perspective now, 10 years later. But just think of it, I've described it before. Think of Santa Muerte as a whole as kind of like the top of the jellyfish. Each person gets a little tentacle of Santa Muerte, and each tentacle is different. Okay? So I get a tentacle, you get a tentacle, they get a tentacle, and they're all different. So each person's practice with her is going to be different. Okay? And none of them are wrong. Some of them are just weird. But anyways, so another thing is giving her animals. Now, I do know a person or two that they're adamant that they give her animals, more specifically chickens. And that's their relationship with her. Maybe she's, you know, hungry for that with them. But I do gotta say, and if they watch this video, I mean, I'm sure they'll get offended for a whole 5 seconds, and it may sound bad, but the people that or the couple of people that I know that give her animals, um, it's already part of their practice. It's already part of their practice. It's something that they have become accustomed to, and it's something that they're familiar with in showing on how to give energy. Okay? So, I mean, they get sourced. The animal gets sourced. It's not like it goes to waste or anything. But I have tried doing that, and once again, she looked at me like, why are you giving me this for? I don't want it. Ew, it stinks. You know, that's honestly the impression I got. Ew, it stinks. Get this off of me. You know, but yeah, and I got backlash for it big time because not that it's not traditional, but it's not really required anymore. The best thing that you can give her is your time, your dedication, your attention. And because I've said this in the past and I'll say it again, that time is the thing that you'll never get back. So whoever or whatever you invest your time in, it's the ultimate sacrifice because you're not getting it back. I'm giving you all in this video my time right now that I'm never going to get back. You're giving me your time that you're never going to get back. So we're equal. But I'm trying to think of anything else. I used to think that I was restricted, and this wasn't too long ago. This was a couple of years ago. I used to think I was restricted in doing certain types of magic with her, but I wasn't restricted. Actually, I learned I was just approaching it wrong. She has a certain kind of formula that she uses in order to conduct certain types of magic, and I just had to learn that formula. Okay? So now I can pretty much do anything with her that I want to, but now I just choose not to. For me, she's my curandera. She's my healer. She's my holy guardian. She's my holy death. I don't want to do anything bad with her. I don't want it. I don't want to bring, for one, I don't want to bring that energy inside my house. And two, I don't want to taint her energy with that negativity, because then it starts to like permeate in the atmosphere, and just everything that I do that would be considered like a malefic work, I do it outside, or I do it out of the house, away from the house, because I don't want that shit contaminating in here. But yeah, I choose not to do bad things with her. You can do literally everything with her, literally everything. But me personally, I choose not to, because that's my curandera, you know? That's what she means to me, and I don't want to mess up that energy. So, that's all I can think of right now. I know that it's been a minute, like I said, and I keep saying that I want to do live videos, and I want to do live videos, but I keep forgetting, I'll be honest with you. If y'all have any questions or comments and stuff like that, leave them in the video. Also, if you didn't know, I have an Etsy shop. I closed down my website. It was too much. I have an Etsy shop, La Casa Calacas, and it's linked in the bio, in the description, and all that. And I do readings, I do workings, pretty much everything. And I do consultations. So if you want a Q&A, if you got many questions that you don't want to ask in the comments, you want maybe like a more in-depth conversation, do consultations as well, a Q&A, right? I call it a Q&A. And yeah, if you guys need help in any department, let me know. We'll get you set up. So thanks for watching this very long video. It's nice to post on YouTube again. And my social medias are also it's mainly just Instagram, and that's about it. Instagram. Message me on Instagram. I check Instagram very regularly. And yeah, hit me up if you have any questions. So hope this helps. And if you have any doubts, or if you need to know about anything else, let me know.